Russia says its forces have struck 2 Ukrainian army hangars storing US-made artillery weapons. The Russian Defense Ministry says the cache of howitzers was targeted in the eastern region of Donetsk. The United States and its allies have been supplying weapons and military equipment to Ukraine since the beginning of the war with Russia. Moscow has repeatedly warned against such shipments, saying that they prolong the conflict. Also in eastern Ukraine, which is the main theater of war, local emergency services said they had recovered 15 bodies after a Russian missile strike hit a residential area. Rescuers say 5 people were pulled out of the rubble and that they were in contact with 3 others under the debris. Moscow has previously dismissed allegations of targeting civilian areas. To follow up on this news, we're going to go over to former CIA analyst Ray McGovern. Ray, it's very nice to have you on our show. Thank you for joining us. Russia has repeatedly warned that the US supply of weapons to Ukraine will prolong the war. Can you explain to us the implications of US's equipment and military support for Ukraine?
Well, this may sound a little cynical, but there are people who profiteer on this war, the people who make those weapons. Now, for Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or Boeing, the destruction of those missiles in Ukraine simply means that they have to replace them. That means more production, more selling, more money. So money is the root of all evil. This largely explains why the U.S. disregards Russia's clear ability to destroy these weapons as soon as they come into Ukraine. Doesn't matter, we'll give them still more, and the profiteers will profiteer. Now, the outlook is not very good, because if the President of the United States says we're going to be there for as long as it takes, well, it's a very long time it's going to take. Mr. Putin says, well, you're going to try to beat us in Ukraine. Good luck. Give it a try. So bottom line here is that this will continue at least until the midterm elections in November. And who suffers from that? The Ukrainians. The citizens who live near these depots where these weapons are going in. That's the sorrowful part. This thing needs to stop. There is the possibility of a ceasefire. Russia, I think, will stop for a sensible negotiation, but we're in it for the long haul, says our intelligence people, and our president says, for as long as it takes. So look for more bloodshed, look for more Russian advances. The only question is, where will Russia stop as it goes west? Will it take Odessa? Will it go all the way to Moldova? That's a main question. And if negotiations don't start soon, that question will be answered by the Russian army.
Very well. Ray, can you also expand on the situation with the Western imposed sanctions on Russia and the repercussions that it could have on the world economy, specifically on the US and the Europe economy? What are the repercussions, Ray?
Well, inflation is very high here. The administration is blaming it on Mr. Putin, but it has much deeper roots. What we're facing here is a real division of the world into 2 parts again, bipolar, if you will, in both senses of the word. You have the lily-white West, and then you have China, Russia, India, Iran, the rest of the world, so to speak. It's divided in 2 now, where people of color are creating the other pole of the bipolar world. This is a very dangerous situation because the lily-white West does not seem to realize that they're no longer in control of things. And I would just mention one small thing. It's not small, it's a big thing. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said just 2 days ago that President Biden is really not in control. Don't mention him as a decision maker. The decisions have all been made by Russophobes, Islamophobes in the State Department, and maybe one or two in the White House. That's where it rests. Now, if our military can't talk sense to the president and tell him that this is a lost cause in Ukraine and get him to stop, and there's not much chance of that before the midterm elections, we're in trouble deep, and the potential for escalation is real. The people who profiteer on these things don't seem to care about that as long as they're making more and more money from producing arms, from selling arms, from giving the profits to Congress people to vote for more arms. It's a vicious cycle. It needs to stop.
Very well. Many thanks for joining our show. Ray McGovern there joining us and giving us his insight. Many thanks once again.